What if I told you the gentle Sandman, the guy who's supposed to bring sweet dreams, has a much darker cousin? And that he's not the only one? All around the world, you'll find stories of things that wait for us to fall asleep. I'm not talking about monsters under the bed. I'm talking about creatures that can paralyze you, ghouls that literally feed on your nightmares, and entities that invade the one place you should be safest, your own mind. These are the unwelcome guests in our subconscious. Today, we're counting down the 7 midnight monsters that sneak into kids' dreams. Ghost number 7, the Sandman. Kicking off our list at number 7 is a name you definitely know, the Sandman. In most stories, he's a sweet, grandfatherly figure who sprinkles magic sand in children's eyes to bring them peaceful dreams. That gritty stuff in the corner of your eyes in the morning? That's his leftover sand, proof of a good night's sleep. It's a comforting thought, right? Well, there's another version of this story, and it shatters that peaceful image. This darker tale comes from the tormented mind of German author E.T.A. Hoffmann in his 1816 story, The Sandman. In Hoffmann's world, the Sandman is no friend. He's a monster who hunts for children who refuse to sleep. But instead of sprinkling sand, he throws it in their eyes until they pop right out of their sockets. Then, he gathers the bloody eyeballs in a sack and flies them to the dark side of the moon to feed his own bird-beaked children. Hoffmann's story was so unsettling that it was even analyzed by Sigmund Freud in his essay on the uncanny. And that's what's so creepy about the Sandman. Is he a gentle guide to dreamland or a monster who wants to steal your eyes? The fear here comes from betrayal. It takes a story that's supposed to make you feel safe and twists it into pure terror, reminding you that the very figure you invite into your room each night might actually be a predator in disguise. Ghost number 6, the Baku. Coming in at number 6 is a creature that seems like a welcome guest. From Japanese and Chinese folklore, meet the Baku, the dream eater. When a child in Japan wakes up from a nightmare, they can call out, "Baku-san, come eat my dream," 3 times. Legend says the Baku will then appear and devour the bad dream, letting the child sleep peacefully. Sounds like a perfect bodyguard for your brain. But summoning the Baku is a huge risk. Ancient legends warn that if the Baku eats your nightmare and is still hungry, it might just move on to your other dreams. A greedy Baku could consume a person's hopes and ambitions, leaving them to live a hollow, empty life. You might be free from one nightmare, but you risk losing all the good dreams that make life worth living. It's a terrifying trade-off. The creature's appearance is just as strange as its nature. The Baku is a chimera, said to be made from the leftover parts after the gods finished creating all other animals. It's often described with the body of a bear, the trunk of an elephant, the paws of a tiger, and the eyes of a rhino. Its image was once so powerful that just placing a picture of the Baku by your bedside was believed to be enough to ward off evil. The fear of the Baku isn't about a violent attack. It's the fear of emptiness. It's a chilling reminder that taking the easy way out of our fears can have terrible consequences. So you have to ask yourself, is it better to suffer through a nightmare or risk a life with no dreams at all? Ghost número 5, Popobawa. Our 5th entry claws its way out of Zanzibar and the Tanzanian coast. Meet the Popobawa. The name translates from Swahili to bat wing, which describes the dark, flapping shadow it supposedly casts on the wall as it attacks. But the Popobawa is a shapeshifter. It can look like an animal, a human, or nothing at all. An invisible force, sometimes giving itself away with a foul, sulfurous smell. The Popobawa isn't a subtle dream invader. It's a violent entity that brutally assaults people in their sleep. After an attack, the creature issues a command. You must tell everyone what happened. If you stay silent out of shame or fear, the Popobawa will return to do it again, often with even more violence. This cruel ultimatum is designed to spread fear and turn personal trauma into public panic. The legend is surprisingly recent. Widespread panic first erupted on the island of Pemba in the early 1970s, not long after the Zanzibar Revolution. Because of this, many scholars believe the Popobawa is a manifestation of social trauma and political anxiety, with waves of hysteria often lining up with election cycles. The terror of the Popobawa is layered. It's the primal fear of a supernatural home invasion, the horror of a violent assault, and the social fear of shame. It's an agent of mass panic that feeds on the very hysteria it creates. For the kids who hear these stories, the Popobawa isn't just a dream monster. It's a real-world threat that makes them afraid to close their eyes at night. Alright, we're halfway through and heading into our top 3 most terrifying midnight monsters. These are the legends that have left the deepest scars. If you're enjoying this journey into the world of nightmares, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It really helps out, and it makes sure you won't miss our next trip into the dark and unknown. Now back to the countdown. Ghost number 4. The Slit-Mouthed woman, Kuchisake-onna. At number 4, we head to the streets of Japan for the Kuchisake-onna, or the Slit-Mouthed woman. This isn't some ancient demon. She's a modern urban legend that caused a real-life nationwide panic in 1979. The story describes a woman wandering the streets at night wearing a surgical mask, a common sight in Japan. She carries a sharp weapon, usually a pair of scissors. She targets people who are alone, especially children. She'll walk up and ask, "Watashi, Kirai?" Or, "Am I pretty?" Say no, and she kills you on the spot. Say yes, and she rips down her mask to reveal a gruesome mouth, slit from ear to ear. She then asks, "Even like this?" Scream or say no now, and she'll cut your own mouth to look just like hers. The rules change depending on the story, but in most versions, there's no right answer. Her origin story varies. In one tale, she was the unfaithful wife of a samurai who mutilated her as a punishment. In another, she was the victim of a botched surgery. Either way, she returns as a vengeful spirit to inflict her pain on others. So how do you survive? The legends offer a few clever escapes. You could give a confusing, non-committal answer like "you look average," which might buy you enough time to run. You could also throw hard candies at her feet. She'll supposedly stop to pick them up. The strangest defense? Say the word pomade 3 times. Apparently, she can't stand the smell. The Kuchisake-onna turns a simple question into a death trap, proving that true horror can hide behind the most ordinary, everyday mask. Ghost number 3, the Slenderman. Cracking our top 3 is a monster born not from folklore, but from the internet itself, the Slenderman. Created in 2009 by Eric Knudsen on the Something Awful forums, Slenderman started as a couple of doctored photos. They showed a tall, unnaturally thin, faceless man in a black suit lurking behind children. The captions hinted at abductions, and a modern myth was born. What makes Slenderman so scary is his mystery. He has no official motive, and his powers change with each new story. He's a blank slate for our worst fears. He's usually described as having long, tentacle-like arms to snatch his victims and the ability to teleport. He stalks forests and abandoned places, preying on children or anyone who gets too obsessed with researching him. Just being near him is said to cause slender sickness, an illness with symptoms like paranoia, nightmares, and nosebleeds. He doesn't just stalk you. He gets inside your head and drives you insane. His entire mythology was built collaboratively online, through stories, video series like Marble Hornets, and
right
art.
Behind you.
This
Don't
lack
look
of
away.
a single official story makes him feel more like a real phenomenon being documented than a fictional character. The fear of Slenderman is the fear of the unknown. His facelessness is his most terrifying feature. He doesn't have a monstrous face. He has no face at all, just a void. He represents that primal fear of being watched by something you can't possibly understand. He's a ghost in the machine who stepped out of the screen and right into our nightmares. Ghost number 2, the Mara. Our runner-up is an ancient entity so influential that, in English and other Germanic languages, its name gives us the mare in nightmare. This is the Mara. The Mara is a malevolent spirit, usually a woman, that attacks people in their sleep. She is the original folkloric explanation for the terrifying phenomenon we now call sleep paralysis. According to legend, the Mara sneaks into a sleeper's room, sometimes through a keyhole, and sits on their chest. The victim is trapped somewhere between waking and sleeping, feeling a crushing, suffocating weight. You're conscious, you know something evil is there, but you are totally paralyzed. You can't move, you can't scream, you can't even breathe. The Mara's ride causes horrific nightmares and leaves victims exhausted and filled with dread. She's also a shapeshifter, appearing as a beautiful woman, a haggard witch, or even a cat. In some traditions, the Mara isn't a demon at all, but the wandering soul of a living person, whose spirit leaves their body at night to torment others. She didn't just attack humans. Farmers would find their horses exhausted in the morning, their manes tangled in merlocks, believed to be knots tied by the Mara riding them all night. The fear of the Mara is primal. It's the fear of being completely helpless. Sleep paralysis is scary enough, but the Mara gives that terror a name and a face. She is the feeling of being trapped in your own body, powerless, while a hostile force presses down on you, turning your bed into a nightly torture chamber. Ghost number 1, the Night Hag. And now for our number 1 midnight monster. She is the quintessential dream invader, known by many names across countless cultures, but she embodies one universal terror, the Night Hag. The Night Hag is the archetypal creature of sleep paralysis, a close relative of the Mara we just discussed. She is the ancient, withered crone who sits on your chest in the dead of night, stealing your breath and feeding on your fear. Legends say she's made of shadow and smells like moss and decay. She isn't just a one-time nightmare. She's a parasite who visits night after night, draining the life from her victims. In Slavic folklore, the Naknitsa specifically targets children, sometimes leaning over a cradle to offer her poisoned breast milk, which causes the infant to sicken and die. To protect their babies, parents would place a knife in the cradle or draw a protective circle of iron around it. It was believed she only visited when you slept on your back, a position sometimes called sleeping with the dead. So why is the Night Hag our number 1? Because she's everywhere. Nearly every culture on Earth has a version of this legend. The Pasanta in Catalonia, the Karabasan in Turkey, the 5 a.m. in Thailand. This isn't just a story, it's a global human experience. The Night Hag is the personification of that suffocating weight, the shadow in the corner of your eye, and the silent scream trapped in your throat. She is the ultimate invader of our most vulnerable state. She doesn't just give you a nightmare. She is the nightmare. She is the final boss of bad dreams, a timeless monster who proves that sometimes the most terrifying place in the world is your own bed. From a friendly Sandman turned eye thief to the ancient hag who personifies sleep paralysis itself, these monsters reveal our deepest, most universal fears. They are born from the darkness behind our eyelids and from the stories we tell to explain things we don't understand. They're cautionary tales and ancient demons that remind us that even when we're asleep, we might not be alone. So, which of these monsters terrified you the most? Is there a creature from your local folklore that haunts your dreams? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you want to explore more dark legends, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching and sweet dreams.